That said, we want to thank you for the good work you do. And part of what we do not see as good work, we are ready to hear from you. We have two issues to deal with, honorable members. The first is we have the Auditor General's report in respect of the accounts of the National Environment Management Authority for the financial year ended 30th June 2023, as well as the emerging issues that came from the floor of the House when the Speaker directed this committee to interface with NEMA relating to the current events of evictions in the name of environmental protection and restoration. Mark my word, in the name, not guise, of environmental protection and restoration. Pursuant to that instruction of the Right Honorable Speaker, I did request the clerk to write to the Executive Director, NEMA, and a letter was written on 20th June 2024, wherein, among others, we requested NEMA to update this committee, one, on the number of and list of those persons that have so far been evicted in that ongoing exercise, the time affected by persons, the time the affected persons had been in that area, in those areas. 3, why NEMA did allow those people to construct and occupy those spaces, and then came in at the 11th hour to do the demolition. 4, why some occupants are left out in what it may be seen as selective application of the law, whether the victims have been compensated, that one, those who are entitled, and how much has been paid out in compensation. There have since emerged other issues, that there are those activities which are allowed under the law. When you go to some places, you find people selling and producing flowers and pass palm, things of the kind. Why those ones have equally been affected? How much notice have you been giving to those people that have been affected by the evictions? Other questions will emerge from the floor. So my suggestion is, before we embark on the Auditor General's report, 1, let's hear if there are any preliminary comments from the Executive Director, who I congratulate on the appointment. Barierega. So now, which one is your English name?
Chair, I don't have an English name.
Okay, your baptism name.
I don't have baptism name, Chair.
You were not baptized?
No.
And if I am pursuing the gospel of Christ, am I allowed to start kutokota so that I Christian you, so that you may see the light? I know that Kasiru MP Honorable Elijah Okupa wants to say, because you are not baptized, that's why you raised down a church last night. That's why the operation has been merciless. But Honorable Elijah Okupa, for that you overruled. Dr. Kankwasa, the floor is yours.
Opportunity to appear before you. We appreciate your time to host us here. Honorable Chair and honorable members, NEMA was established in 1995 by an act of parliament.
Dr. Kankwasa, proceed.
Thank you, Chair.
You are very safe, honorable members. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. NEMA was established in 1995 by an act of parliament, and it was given the mandate to do 4 main things. The first one is to regulate all activities relating to environment in Uganda. The second one is to coordinate the other players in the environment space.
Is that part of this?
No.
Okay.
It is just the mandate from the act.
Okay.
Yeah. So NEMA was charged by the act to regulate, to coordinate, to supervise, and to monitor. So broadly, that's the mandate that NEMA was given, and within the same law, specific functions for which NEMA was put in place are also enlisted. So basically, NEMA works through lead agencies, including ministries, departments, and agencies, and local governments, to ensure that all the players are well coordinated and they're executing their mandate. But we also do a regulatory function of licensing and certification of environment and social impacts. Chair, in relation to the issues raised by the committee in your letter of 20th June 2024, we have prepared a response which we have shared with you and honorable members. With your permission, Chair, I will highlight the contents if you permit.
No, I will not permit you. This is this matter is very pertinent and serious. We will give
Much, Chair, for your indulgence. Chair, on page 1, we give the background of the operation in Lubigi wetland system, and we state that Lubigi wetland is a major wetland system which drains the north of Kampala City in Rubaga and Kawempe divisions, and south of Wachiso district in Nabweru division in Nansana municipality, and it flows into the Mayanja Kato river system of the Choga basin. The dominant plant that you can find in Lubigi include the papyrus, the common papyrus, Cyperus papyrus, the common grass that we see, which is Taifa species, and then the phoenix palms and miscanthus plants. These are the major plants of Lubigi system. This system receives water from Nsoba, Bwaise, Nabisasiro, Narukorongo, and Chiwunya wetland systems, and it stretches over an area of 1,721 hectares and is permanently waterlogged. The system is extremely important for the control of flooding, filtration of water, control of pollution into lakes and rivers, ground and surface water recharging, microclimate amelioration, formation of rainfall, habitats for critical biodiversity, including the endangered gray-crowned crane, which is our national bird, and a host of other migratory species and native species. It also contributes to control of air pollution and is a direct source of water for the communities around the wetland, but also provides resources for livelihood support, including medicinal plants, craft materials, and animal fodder. The wetland presents various opportunities for education and research, tourism and recreation, as well as cultural heritage preservation. Chair and honorable members, over the recent past, encroachment on this system has intensified between 2011, 2015, and more recently in 2022. Different parts of this wetland have been encroached and degraded, mainly through backfilling with the maram and construction of residential, commercial, and industrial structures, and cultivation of sugarcane, planting of eucalyptus trees, establishment of flower beds, especially along the road, and pollution by waste, including solid waste, as well as effluent discharge. Chair and honorable members, efforts to halt further loss of wetlands and also recovery of degraded wetlands have been ongoing in the country, with the most recent being the ongoing restoration of Lubigi ecosystem and other operations across the country. We have conducted operations in rural wetlands aimed at stopping illegal sand mining. We've operated in Rurindo wetland in Rukunjiri, mainly to stop expansion of agriculture into the wetlands. We have operated in Akadoti wetland in Kumi, Kanyabukanja wetland in Buhweju, Kole wetland in Kole, Rugwizi wetland system in Mbarara, Chitagata wetlands in Bushenyi, and Peche wetland in Guru, Nakaiba wetland in Masaka. Kanyabukanja is repeated up, Chair. Chabwato and Rwengwe wetlands in Intungamo, and ongoing Lubigi wetland restoration. Chair, efforts to protect Lubigi wetland date back to 2012, when encroachers, including the famous witch doctor called Bemba Musota, was removed from the Lubigi wetland. Subsequently, restoration orders have been issued in Nansana in 2016, in Nabweru in 2018, in Nabisasiro in 2019, Nansana, Sentema, Busega, and Nabisasiro in 2022, Busega in 2023, and recently in 2024 in Nansana, Ganda, Nasere, Nakuwade, Kawara, and Nabweru. These efforts, Chair and honorable members, have involved a wide array of stakeholders, including the agency responsible for wetlands management in Uganda, which is the Department of Wetlands Management, Ministry of Water and Environment. We've worked with Kampala Capital City Authority, Wachiso District Local Government, Uganda National Roads Authority, Ministry of Works and Transport, Uganda Police Force, Uganda People's Defense Forces, and ourselves to ensure that we stop further degradation of Lubigi ecosystem and be able to salvage those areas that are salvageable, especially where it is clear that the wetland properties can be recovered. Chair, in response to specific questions raised by the committee, with your indulgence, I will ask Sarah Naigaga to take us through each question and the response we've given. With your indulgence, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Sarah.
Thank you, Edie. In response to specific questions from the committee, the first question is the number and list of those evicted. Chair, our records indicate that 315 households were issued with restoration orders around Lubigi, and having failed to comply with the said orders, restoration has been undertaken. Approximately 214 households have been removed from the wetland, and this exercise is still ongoing, and it is being undertaken by NEMA together with the other lead agencies mentioned above. We have provided a list of households that were served with restoration orders, and we've marked it Annex A. In response to issue number 2, which is the time the affected persons had taken in the area, as of 2002, there was no encroachment in the area where the current restoration exercise is being undertaken. It can be observed that in 2011, encroachment increased in the wetland, and the peak is in 2022. We have provided a copy of the satellite imagery and map on the status of Lubigi wetland as of 2002, 2011, and 2022, and it is marked Annex B. In response to question number 3, which was why did NEMA let them, I think the affected, first construct and thereafter embark on demolition of their property? Our response is that it is a statutory function of the Wetlands Management Department in the Ministry of Water and Environment and the respective local governments to manage wetlands. And this is provided under Section 11 and 55 of the National Environment Act, number 5 of 2019. NEMA's role in this regard is the regulatory, monitoring, supervision, and coordination as provided under Section 9 of the National Environment Act, number 5 of 2019. As mentioned above, awareness creation, restoration orders, and enforcement have been conducted over time to restore and protect the area since 1995. As you may be aware, the mandated institutions do not have adequate personnel, equipment, and operational funds to effectively watch over every inch of wetlands in Uganda. Indeed, the framers of the law placed the responsibility on the citizens that are near the environment, and this can be traced in Article 17(1)J of the Constitution, of the 1995 Constitution, Section 3 of the National Environment Act, and Regulation 17 of the National Environment, Wetlands, Riverbanks, and Lake Shores Management, Regulations of 2000. This inadequacy can be traced from the historical development and growth of the institutions that are mandated to manage wetlands, among other segments of the environment. For example, NEMA started with only 30 staff in 1995. This gradually increased to 65 in 2008, then 97 in 2015, 128 staff in 2018, 132 staff in 2022, and now we have about 217 staff out of the approved structure of 413. This implies that even if we were to send out one person to every district to manage or to monitor wetlands, we would still not cover all districts. And as mentioned, the provisions of the law mandate those that are within the jurisdiction to manage and monitor the developments. Added to this is the funding situation, which has not been very good. For instance, NEMA's budget has been decreasing from 25 billion in 2015 to Uganda to 13 billion in 2021. While we appreciate the recent slight increment to 30 billion, for the next financial year 2024-2025, this is still far below the desired minimum annual budget of 157 billion. The situation in local governments is even worse, with most local governments having an environment management budget of less than 5 million a financial year. We therefore appeal to you and Parliament to appropriate more resources for purposes of financing environment and natural resources, for environment programs in districts, cities, municipalities, town councils, and sub-counties as provided under Section 29 of the National Environment Act, so that there is more enhanced and effective monitoring of activities in such areas. The fourth question was why other occupants were left out or selective application of the law has been done. Chair, the response is that restoration is a law enforcement exercise that looks out for any person that has breached or offended the law. Some infrastructure in the wetlands were established with due process of approval, and removing them would result in liability to the government. But we are investigating and working on ensuring that those that have been permitted are indeed operating within the conditions of approval. The last question, Chair, is whether the victims have been compensated and how much was the compensation. Chair, the question of compensating persons affected by the restoration exercise begs for consideration of whether the activities that attracted the restoration were legal and permitted. The law deems all households and entities issued with restoration orders offenders in light of the section that we have read. So the restoration does not...
Remind us of the section.
55.
Section 55 of the National Environment Act, then Section 130, Section 133. We also have Regulation 17, Regulation 8, and Regulation 11 of the Wetlands, Riverbanks, and Lake Shores Regulations. And for that reason, yes, and Lake Shores of 2000, Lake Shores Management Regulations of 2000. For that reason, Chair, we have deemed restoration as an enforcement action and an enforcement tool, and it does not derive interest or title of the areas restored to NEMA, but rather serves to protect the environment for the common good of all, including those affected by the resolutions. We have therefore not made any compensation to the persons affected. Thank you, Chair.
What is the definition of lead agencies under Section 55?
Chair, the definition of lead agency can be found in Section 2, which refers to, page 14, it means a ministry, department, agency, local government, or public officer in which or in whom the functions of control management of any segment of the environment are vested.
Okay. When you read Section 55, it talks about what?
Chair, Section 55 talks about protection of wetlands. And
a person shall not, without the written approval of the relevant lead agency,
yes, given
in consultation with the authority. So the local government is a lead agency.
The lead agency for wetlands management, as of the administrative structure now, it's more than one. we have Ministry of Water and Environment, which is the Department of Wetland Management, and then respective local governments and urban authorities. They are also lead agencies in their respective jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction over the wetlands.
No, I'm looking at the punctuation that accompanies the words in section 2 at page 14, where it says a lead agency means a ministry, comma, a department, agency, in whom the functions of control or management of any segment of the environment is vested. So they are not all of them added or conglomerated. Any of them is a lead agency. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Lastly,
Yes.
the first one was activities permitted under the law to be undertaken in the wetlands. Chair, these can be found under Schedule 6 of National Environment Act 2019. It's on page 163. Page 163 of the National Environment Act, Schedule 6, derived from sections 54, 55, and 181. And they are listed as regulated activities in wetlands. They include brick making, recreation activities, including sport fishing and maintenance of green spaces, cultivation, sand and clay mining, drainage, commercial exploitation of wetland resources, sewage filtration, fishing using fishing gear and weirs, fish farming and other aquaculture, construction of transport and communication facilities, including roads, railways and telephone lines, burning, and lastly, any exploitative activity which is of commercial or trade nature, including harvesting of papyrus for commercial purposes. I need to add, Chair, that whereas these activities are permitted as regulated activities, they have to go through a due process to obtain this permission.
Yes.
Chair, the second issue that you raised is notice given to the people. Chair, under section 133 of the National Environment Act, a person must be given the due notice. A restoration order must be served on that person, and the restoration order gives the person 21 days within which to challenge the order or to confirm that the order is correct and therefore take action to restore the environment. So the restoration orders that have been issued had 21 days as per section 133.
Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kankwasa. You want to confirm to this committee and the country that for all the 200 and how many? Where are you reading from? Because what I have, 315, you issued then relevant notices to these households?
Yes, Chair, and we have provided a list by name, which we have annexed to this report.
Yes, I've seen the list. That's where we are drawing the numbers from. Can you share with us the notices, copies of the notices you issued to each of these?
Chair, we can compile them and submit them to the committee.
Yes, let's get them tomorrow by close of business. Okay. From what you said, I think, yes, there was a specific. I perfectly understand where you're coming from when you say that people who operate those regulated activities need to go through the process. under Section 9, you're required, as you did inform us, to do environmental awareness. And the first question relates to those people who are earning a living through the sale of flowers, like you said, on the roadside within Lubigi. As part of your awareness creation, did you have an interface with them? If so, when and where? And who are they? We are not yet at those ones who built houses. Let's look at those people growing mayuni in that wetland, which you said is permissible, subject to due process. Yes, when, where, and with who did you have an awareness interface?
For the question, Chair, we do have a Department of Environment Education and Public Awareness, and this conducts routine awareness to the general population about matters relating to environment, procedures through which you can go through to obtain or use particular segments of environment. And these programs are limited by the resources we have, but within the limitation of resources we have had radio programs, we have had TV appearances as well, and we also sensitize through the schools. In respect to specific question on roadside people, these came in before obtaining any permissions, and so we did not engage them specifically apart from asking them to first vacate, and then if they have to obtain permission to use, they should go through the due process.
So for them, you concede you did not give them notice?
No, they were given notice, Chair, like any other.
What is it that would stop you from engaging those people? I mean, on how to apply through your awareness program? Because we give you money for awareness. And those are some of the people, really, and I'm now talking about very ordinary, below basic individuals surviving, earning a small living, taking their children to school. And this is not an expensive venture, even when you talk about resources. You have the resources to go and slash their yams, those flowers, very, very basic, innocent plants. But you don't have the resources to do awareness for them. Are you putting on a human face? Is NEMA a human, is NEMA a national authority for human beings? Dr. Kankwasa, tell me.
Thank you very much, Chair, for the question. Chair, whereas these people may be seen as people that are vulnerable, which indeed some of them are, some of them can be used to establish themselves in wetland. We've seen these cases. After occupying space for a given period of time, they create a window for others to come.
That is absolutely true.
Yes, and then...
How about your regulation? Because when you sensitize them, you monitor them, you regulate them, you even know who is occupying how much space, together with your partners in local governments. Okay? I mean, you're talking about Lubigi, which is a 10, 15-minute drive from your offices. I mean, you have not even done it. You are presuming that, well, they have those spiteful and criminal minds. Indeed, when your legal officer was making reference to Section 55, she read into words into the statute by using the words, they are deemed to be doing a criminal activity. As a lawyer, she knows. At some point, we had a law called the Prevention of Corruption Act, 1970, which presumed that every public servant who has money or who receives money receives it corruptly. And with the current constitutional regime, it was declared unconstitutional because it deems and presumes somebody to have a criminal mind. I have asked you a specific question, whether you, in your program of awareness, met with those people, sensitized them on how to obtain a permit to operate what is otherwise allowed but regulated activities. And your concession is, no, you went on radio.
Chair, may I?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Before enforcement exercises happen, Chair, there are engagements. And I am sure we can trace engagement reports of these people, especially the flower people. That one, I think we can.
The two statements are inconsistent with each other. The first is, I'm sure. The second, I think. Those cannot move in the same sentence.
Chair, I am sure because I've seen a report on previous engagement.
Do you have somebody in charge of this department here?
Chair, like we said, the responsibility to manage wetlands is not directly with NEMA. It is directly with the Department of Wetlands Management. So we don't have a department.
Where is that department in the ministry?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before, before going to do the slashing, would it not be prudent to have an engagement with that department to ensure that such which are integral elements of due process?
Check
okay.
on the report
President.
and confirm.
The Chairman, thank you very much. The Chairman, I want to should have gazetted those areas which they are presumed to be protecting. So in this meeting, Mr. Chairman, we expect NEMA to prove that those wetlands and Lubigi inclusive are protected by gazettement, in which case people would know that this is a protected area. Secondly, when you talk about urban authority, the advantage is that meaning is that it is a planned area. A planned area, that's the function of local governments, that the developments are approved developments because it is a planned area. So if it is a planned area, people have built because local governments have approved. And you are the same government. So do we see conflicts of institutions of government? Because this one has approved the building, and another arm of government has now come to destroy the building. So I want you to be specific on those ones. The gazettement, making it public, that although you are going here, the activities are prohibited. If there is no gazettement, then who is to blame? Because the land in Uganda is owned. If it is owned, the use is regulated. That's very important. So when you look at one arm of government approving a building and another arm of government demolishing the building, and this is selective application of the law, who allowed them to be there anyway? So those are some of the few things that I would want to know. That really, why didn't you allow KCCA to do the work? You tell them this is not allowed, then they demolish. Why do you come in yourselves? Because Kampala State Council has enforcement. these are illegal structures, tell them to demolish. Why you? I thank you.
Yes, honorable members.
Chair, what is a wetland? Before 2019 Act, Cap 153, the 1995 Act defined a wetland as a place which is seasonally or permanently flooded with water, and because of that flooding, plant life has adapted to that situation. That was Cap 153. In 2019, this was amended, and the words, and has been gazetted as such, was added to that definition in 2019. And consequently, government has, through legal notice number 14 of 2023, complied with that requirement and has gazetted all of these wetlands. So we now have a gazette under legal notice number 14 of 2023.
Okay, would you share with us the gazette you're referring to?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, regarding selective application.
No, just before that, now that you have defined the wetland, which district of Uganda do you come from?
Chair, I come from Kanungu district.
From Kanungu?
Yes.
Do you go through Mbarara?
Sure.
With that definition, do you agree with me that 50% of the stretch where you go through before you reach Kanungu is a wetland?
Not sure about.
Drive after Mbarara, immediately after Mbarara town. The road going to Bushenyi, continue to Ntungamo, you agree with me that all those houses are in a wetland by that definition?
Is it
along that road?
Seasonally or permanently flooded?
The words, yes.
If the place is seasonally or permanently flooded, yes. The answer would be yes.
And
But most of the Kampala roads are flooding seasonally, so what
Exactly.
about them?
Chair, majority of them
are all those houses down?
majority of them are in wetlands, especially roads.
Yes.
And actually, that's part of the problem, Chair.
For the roads, I agree with you. But for the buildings next to the roads, for the roads, because they are already provided for in the schedule. How about the houses? What has stopped you from bringing them down?
Chair, the enforcement exercise is just beginning, and because we've been limited.
Why would it begin with these poor people?
Not Chambogo.
Chair, we have not begun with the poor people, because when we are enforcing, we wouldn't know who owns. You may have a plot where you have...
Dr. Kankwasa, take this committee serious. Even by looking at the buildings, you are not able to tell who is who?
Chair, we have seen on TV somebody claiming 6 houses, 1 person in Lubigi. They have come on screen themselves. I wouldn't take that person to be poor.
But by looking at the house itself?
Maybe the tenants may be poor.
No, when you look at the house itself, you are not able to tell that this is a poor person, especially when you are coming from Kanungu.
Chair, the definition of a poor person is subjective. If we go to how we define a poor person, it would require detailed assessment to confirm who is poor, using our definition of poor.
Was your father permanent secretary?
Not at all.
Was he a district education officer?
He was a peasant, Chair.
Was he a poor man?
Yes, a poor man.
Okay. Now let's take the standard of your father. Among those people you evicted in Lubigi, is there a person within the same generic string of your father?
Oh, I have not compared the Chair.
Now you can compare
their income.
Because you have seen both your father and those people.
I've not compared my father's income and their income, so I wouldn't tell whether they are in the same.
One or the other, you're going to answer that question when you're answering the one on selective application. Proceed to your selective application.
Yes, Chair, the other issue is selective application, which has been a big issue. Chair, the situation is like this. There are developments that our assessment found in wetlands. Some of them, we issued them restoration orders. A good example is Starbucks fuel station, which has been talked about in the media. When we issued them with the restoration order, they came with documents. NANSANA approval, NEMA approval, the issues that Honorable Kwizera was raising, documents of other government agencies approving, including NEMA, some time back. Now, when we have these approvals, demolishing such a person would attract legal liability to government. And so that's why when they appealed the restoration orders, that's why we didn't demolish them, and we are undertaking a due diligence.
The restoration orders were vacated. And I agree with you that that would attract legal liability. But let me ask a question, which is non-legal. Does the permit itself change it from being a wetland to something else?
Chair, no.
Does it have the same impact it would have on the environment as if it had not been approved?
Chair, when it goes through an approval, you assess. There is a process of assessment of environment and social impacts.
Correct.
And development of environment and social impact management plan. So the approval comes with guidance to minimize the impact. So the approved one and the non-approved one may not have the same impact.
So that small house next to Starbucks would impact more negatively on the environment because it has not been guided than Starbucks because it is guided, notwithstanding the mass with which it is constructed, the concrete, and the size, etc. The small house would have a much bigger effect.
Chair, the ideal would have been not to have any of the two there. We should have had a wetland there.
Correct. Does NEMA have a power, a regulatory function, of stopping somebody from constructing in a wetland?
Yes, Chair.
And that is in Section 9.
Yes, Chair.
The question therefore comes back. Where was NEMA in failing, not stopping, but failing to stop those people from building?
Chair, like we have explained, has, even now, cannot effectively prevent that even in one district or even in the city of Kampala alone.
When did you become executive director of NEMA?
2 years ago, Chair, and some months.
Before and after, have you used that northern bypass?
Yes, Chair.
Going back to Kanungu?
Yes, Chair.
Have you been seeing those houses?
Which houses, Chair?
Those houses you demolished along that route. As you go to Sega, on your way to Kanungu?
No. The demolitions were, Chair, in Uganda, in Nansana, and some parts of Busega.
When you are using the bypass, you do not see that side of Uganda. You can't see those houses.
You mean looking at the existence?
Yes.
Or?
I mean, you're driving around and you are driven, you're not driving. And when you look on the side, you cannot see those houses mushrooming in Uganda.
Chair, there is a lot of encroachment that goes on that we see.
On your way to
that
Wachiso,
are reported.
Since you were appointed, have you been to Wachiso district headquarters?
Yes, Chair.
And you never saw those houses you have just demolished as they were being constructed?
We've not being constructed, Chair. Some of these people construct at night, in wee hours of the night. Others have been stopped. After you have stopped, when you leave, the following day, the
If
illegal
you stopped
activity
them 2
continues.
years ago, how much more would you have saved, both the environment and the economy of those people whose houses you have brought down?
Chair, the stop, as you have seen, dates back to 2012. So the stop and chasing and
And we are talking about your 2 years.
Yeah, in my 2 years, we've done operations in Lubigi twice, just in 2 years alone.
Okay.
In 2022 and 2023.
Proceed with.
There are some facilities
Okay.
that were established in wetlands, but with government approval. And so breaking them now would attract liability to government. And because of that prudence, that's why we have not broken them. But like I said, we have not yet given up on them. We are reviewing their conditions so that we see whether there is a breach.
Okay. Dr. Akankwasa, have you used the expressway from Munyonyo to Kajansi?
Yes, Chair.
Have you seen any encroachment on any wetland on your left as you drive?
Absolutely.
Have you done anything? Did you approve that encroachment?
The encroachment I've seen, which is also under our investigation, are the flats. They also have a previous approval.
The flats?
The apartments.
The apartments?
Yes, near Kajans flyover. They also have certificates which we are investigating.
Those ones on your left?
Yes, yes. On the left, yes.
If they have your certificates, what are you investigating? And how long do you need to investigate them?
These are certificates not issued by myself or in recent 2 years, by NEMA. And so we have to look at the process. We have also some forged documents. People can pause that they have approvals when they are forged. So we have to get the file from its beginning to its certificate, but also we have to assess whether there is compliance with the conditions of approval of these certificates if they are deemed genuine.
So for those ones, you have documents?
Yes, we have documents.
Issued by NEMA?
Yes, yes, sure.
Would you share with us?
100%.
Will you also share with us the land titles for those particular developments? Because when someone is asking for your approval, he attaches ownership in form of land titles.
That's correct, Chair.
Would you share the land titles with us also?
Yes, Chair.
Have you also heard that within clearing of soil in the lake? Have you heard about it?
I have seen a video on the social media. There are 2 cases in Munyonyo.
Was it a matter of interest to you?
Yes, yes, yes. We had investigated it before.
Have you followed it up?
We had already, before the video came.
You approved?
We had not at all. We had already investigated that matter.
What was your finding?
Yes, there are 2 cases. One is recent degradation next to Speak Resort, which we've discovered got a certificate of approval dating, I need to check, I think either 2013 or something, very long time ago, but had not started, so we've stopped those ones. Since they have not yet started, we have stopped them. We first studied the situation.
Have you asked them to restore?
Yes, yes, we've issued the restoration order there. Okay. That's the site next to Munyonyo Resort.
Next to Munyonyo Speak Resort.
Okay,
who is degrading?
I need to check the name, but we have the certificate. We have the certificate.
No. Now, on this one, Dr. Kankwasa,
yes,
get one of your staff to get the documents, and you answer that question before you leave here.
Chair, I can get it from my iPad.
Please get
it. I have it.
Have you heard about a similar activity taking place at Chituburu?
Chituburu.
Again, next to another something which is...
Chituburu case, Chair, is 2021 case?
No.
That's the one I know in Chituburu, 2021 case of Speak Resort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had lots of contestations with that development in 2021. That's when we first stopped it. We suspended the construction for 6 months. The contestation was Speak Resort, I think, bought the former Sese Gateway Beach.
Correct.
So the former Sese Gateway Beach, when water levels increased, water came backwards and occupied, I think it was about, they talked of 5 acres. But the good news is that where there was the docking point for the beach, there was a cover, a shelter. This shelter is still in water and can be seen even now. So the argument of speak.
Does that mean that the water encroached?
There is no doubt about it because we even have the maps.
The water encroached.
The water levels went up and it ate a significant part of the plot which was formerly Sese Gateway Beach.
Actually, before it became Sese Gateway Beach, it was somebody's residence. Somebody called Swaibu Narumenya. I have ever been seen swimming in that lake.
Yes.
So I have a picture of a photographic memory of that place.
On this one,
and I'm going to ask you for documentation in terms of the measurements you're talking about.
Sure. This one I've been there in person. I've been there because I'd just come to office. It was one of my first battles. So,
how come we didn't know about your battle? We only saw your battle in
it was everywhere in the media. It was, you can get on the media.
The only thing we knew is that you were stopped from entering.
No. We even deployed the police there for almost 1.5 months. So we had to force them to restructure their plans.
No, I think that would be wrong. If the lake has encroached on my land,
yes,
you do not make it part of the lake land.
No, it becomes the lake. The lake is a natural phenomenon. It is a lake.
If the lake is an aggressor,
you can't sue the lake or chase it away. The lake takes over. You have to give up.
Is that law?
No, it's not law. It is really common sense.
No.
If
that you enforce common sense?
No. The law protects the lake.
No.
The law protects the lake.
To what extent?
Wherever the lake is.
No, to the extent that I do not encroach on the lake.
Yes.
But the law does not give my land to the lake.
Well, the law protects the lake. So if the lake has taken over your land, it is the lake now. So for us, we are protecting the lake.
Under what law, Dr. Akankwasa?
Lake shores, river banks, and wetland regulations. If the water levels, like now, water levels have gone up. So certain beaches have been eaten up. You cannot say my land was extending into the lake by an extra 200 meters. Not at all.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Why then did you eventually allow the developer at Chituburu to reclaim?
No, we did not allow him to reclaim at all. Not at all. This is verifiable. You can visit as a committee. There is no single inch of reclamation because we had a battle there, and they had to be forced to restructure their plans to fit in the remaining dry land. And in fact, they have not even built the infrastructure. They have only put the fence outside. So there is no reclamation of any sort. Not at all.
Okay. Honorable Elijah Okupa.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, on to page 3. Doctor, you said you issued records. Your records show that you issued restoration orders to 315, but approximately 214 households have been removed. So we have 101 between the difference between 315 and 214. What is the fate of those? What is of those 101? Because you have issued restoration orders, but now it's only 214, so we have 101. I guess that's where you're trying to explain that Starbucks falls. So Can you tell us something about those?
Thank you. The remaining households are still a subject of ongoing operation, and they may increase because we are continuing to issue more restoration orders where we think that wetland properties can be recovered. We, in fact, have left behind so many other households within the wetland boundaries where we think that recovery of wetland properties there is next to impossible. So places, for example, like Nachivubo. Nachivubo is a wetland. Garden City. So all those places where we think the wetland properties are not recoverable, we have not operated there. So we are looking at people who are nearly in water. If you see some of these images, some houses are half in water, others are half in air. So we want to recover what is recoverable.
Dr. Kankwasa, how does a house in the air look like?
Well, you have a building, half of it is in water. It is immersed with water. The remaining half is in the air because it is not on land.
It can only be outside the water.
It's above the water. So it is hanging in the air.
I'm just being specific on this one. Don't bring the other example. We are being specific on this place.
Yes.
The 101.
Yes.
No.
Okay, as Honorable Itungo wants to supplement to help you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. E.D. I don't know whether I'm on the same page with my colleague, but when you look at your numbering, this document you have given us, after 181, you went 200 something. So we are wondering the numbering. You look at the number 1 up to number 181. E.D.
Honorable Itungo, I'm looking at this document. This one.
Honorable Cooper. So, yes, from 181.
On what page?
They are not numbered. They just 1, 2, 3 up to 181. Yes. Around 51 names. Yes.
Oh, yes. Apologies, Chair. This is an error in the document.
Is it an eviction or what?
Even from
Yes, on yeah, after 181, there is an error there. We can, with the leave of the Chair,
You evict even visible.
mistake there.
Now, for you, with your PhD, if you can make mistakes, how do you expect those ordinary people selling yams, mayuni, not to make mistakes so that you need to help them? By the way, with the poverty of your father and my father, those are the people who took us to school. Are you paying them well?
May I
answer? Yes, answer it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair. I appreciate the plight of poor people. We appreciate that they ought to have a livelihood. This is a matter that we fully appreciate and commensurate with them. However, Chair, there may be a bigger danger than allowing them to remain there. Less than 3 months, Chair, we saw what happened in Kenya. Over 300 lives were lost when floods ravaged Nairobi. So, whereas it may be a good thing to commensurate and feel sorry with the people and not to disrupt them, there is a bigger danger that the people can suffer from environment disasters.
Mr. Chairman.
When it happens. But also, Chair, these people, we did not wake up and said, just go. They have been engaged. They have been engaged, they have been given notices, and so far nobody has been, no house has been broken with the people in the house or even property there.
You first evict them.
Eh?
You first evict them.
No, Chair. They live by themselves. Some of them even remove windows and doors before the enforcement people arrive.
Mr. Kankwasa, we've been
Chairman.
following this debate on TV. We have seen how you bring down these houses.
Mr. Chairman,
Just the example of last night when you were evicting some pastor's church, I think, where there were people. Yes, not yesterday, last night actually. Was it not in the night? When you were bringing that pastor's church down? If they were removing them, how come we see you raising down property, buildings with iron sheets, etc.? And that takes me to my other question I wanted to ask you. What do you lose when you allow those people to remove their property? What do you lose?
Mr. Chairman.
Chair, we don't lose anything, and that has been the standard operating procedure. People have even asked for more time to allow them remove their things. This has been done, and this is the standard operating procedure
Mr. Chairman,
for the people who are doing the operation.
Chairman, the way we look at the way evictions have been made, we compare it with the Bududa issue, role in the protection of life and property in that place. Did you plan any resettlement mechanism? Because you know people are going to lose property and they need settlement.
I can give you information. When you go to a part of Harare with two-roomed houses, they call them the low-cost houses. For those vulnerable people, where government acquires land in the equivalent of our land fund, construct houses, they have a list of these people. Has NEMA ever proposed such a thing? Because you know that, yes, you are restoring environment for the people. You don't want to kill them and then restore the environment for nobody. Or maybe for you, the affluent. Yes. Microphone, or you're relying on your natural microphone?
And the floods can cause disaster or lead to disaster. Here, NEMA has led to disaster in people's homes. Have they worked with the ministry responsible for disaster protection to see how they can settle these Ugandans? Some of them are not able to acquire another piece of land. And they are entitled.
In fact, I saw an old woman who they were just lifting, leave some houses, okay, where you say, we are not in a position to restore the properties of the environment. And properties, I mean science, the scientific properties, in terms of chemistry. What would stop you from leaving that old woman and in your corporate social responsibility, you do something for her? Amongst the Baganda, for example, when you destroy food, it's a curse on you. But for you, you mercilessly go out for people's yams, you know. I understand where you say some people are big-headed. You tell them don't cultivate, and they go ahead to cultivate. But you could even simply tell them go. Like I passed there yesterday. There is environmental protection police. It remains in place. Tell them, okay, stop. We will only allow people who come to cultivate and not to plant. Human face. Because I expect you to be decent. You have a duty to be decent. Why? The difference between you and those people is you know a lot more. Two, I pay you to protect my image as government. I don't pay anything for those people to protect that image. That is the image of government that you have put across. For the last 1 or 2 weeks, that is the best that you have given us as a country. What would stop you from allowing people to remove their property?
May I, Chair?
Please answer.
Yes. Been following social media as well, Chair. I've seen lots of postings, some of which cooked and circulated on social media. For example, the issue of the lady, the old lady, crying, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, is not in Lubigi. So people have, yes, people have
Where is
created,
it?
people have created the videos because we've not seen it in our operation. People have created lots of Photoshop videos and put a tag of Lubigi to bastardize the operation. I want to assure you, Chair, that we have a human face. We know that these are Ugandans.
Let me tell you, even when I
They
look
are
at you now,
citizens.
I don't see that human face.
Chair, if
I have not seen social media. I have followed on TV, mainstream media. It's appalling. You have some relatives who are not employed in NEMA and in government?
well, yes, I have relatives not employed, yes.
Who are not employed in government?
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you talk to them about your exercise and they tell you we are proud of you?
Chair, this is not my exercise. This is a government exercise.
You are the face of that exercise.
by
Don't
va-
deny it. I know why you are denying it, because it looks ugly.
Chair, by virtue of the law, yes, we are coordinators, but this is not an exercise of NEMA in any case. NEMA is coordinating the other players to restore degraded environment. So it's not that is our exercise. We are just there to implement the law, Chair. And we do so with a human face. I want to confirm, Chair, that people are given time, even those who request for additional time to remove their property are given additional time. There is no emergency. The world is not going to end tomorrow. So if somebody, yes, if somebody asks for a day or two or a week, we grant. And some people in Nabweru, for example, for them, they left even before enforcement came.
Because they saw terror.
No, Chair. In fact, since the operation started, Chair, there has not been a single person manhandled, not a single person injured, not a single one, not a single person injured or manhandled. Not a single person. So people live by themselves.
This committee is still with you, and one of the things we are going to do, we are going to meet other stakeholders.